Okay, let's go ahead and create some tables and add some data. There's basically two different ways that you're going to create tables, and we'll go ahead and apply them to numeric arrays first, and then we'll apply them to associative arrays. Okay, so I've got my script editor opened up here, and that's from the View menu, Script Editor. Made it nice and big, and I'm typing into the Pages On Show event. So the first method that we're going to look at here, so we'll call it Method 1, Numeric Arrays, is to go ahead and create a table. So we'll just create an empty table. My table equals curly braces, semicolon. And that's it. We've created a table, and it's an empty table, and it's just sitting there with no values. Okay, so we would actually go, using this first method, we would actually go back and create some numerically indexed values. So for example, in index position 1, we would type, for example, the word apple. In index position 2, I'm going to go ahead and type in the word orange, and in index position 3 I'm going to type in the word banana. Okay, so I've created a table called My Table. I've inserted 3 values into it at positions 1, 2, and 3, and those are apple, orange, and banana, 3 words. Okay, basically consider this as a filing cabinet where you've got envelopes or folders inside the drawer, and they're numerically labeled from 1 to, let's say, 20, from the front to the back. In this case, we put apple in the first one, orange in the second one, and third in the banana. So basically, we're organizing our table in a way that we can later index those values and retrieve them. We'll look at that in the next lesson, though. So method 1 for creating a table is to create a blank table using those curly braces and then adding values afterward. Method 2 is going to involve creating the table and inserting the values at the same time. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say my table equals, we've got the curly braces again. This time though, we're going to just go ahead and type our values right in there. And in this case, we can numerically index them again the same way we would with the first. So the second table we're looking at here is actually identical to the first table. It was just created in a different way. But basically it's the same thing. It's a table called My Table that contains 3 values, apple, orange, and banana, at positions 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now let's apply this to associative arrays. So we'll go with the method 1, and we'll go associative array. Okay, actually I'm going to go ahead and I abbreviated this, but I'm going to go ahead and type it out longhand. There we go. Okay, so method 1, associative arrays. We're going to go ahead and create our table. Again, we're just saying my table, that's the value I've chosen. You can name it anything you want, equals curly braces, semicolon. Okay, so we've created that table and it's just sitting there empty. Now in this case, let's say we were storing some data about a student and we wanted to associate these values with, for example, string values instead of numeric values. So I could go through here and let's say I want to store the student's name. So we'll go ahead and add that value. So we say my table name equals Jim. Then we'll say my table, for example, classroom equals, and in this case we'll say, I'll just make something up, and we'll insert a third value for balance here. So we'll say my table, for example, subject equals, say, science 30. Okay, so there's a little example. So basically we took the same method as we used above, but now we've made an associative array. So now we can access this data later, for example, by these name associations, such as name, classroom, subject, etc. And we're going to go ahead now and look at the method 2 with an associative array. So there we go. And in this particular case, you've probably guessed it already. We just do the same thing we did in the upper part. So we've got the curly braces, and we're just going to create variable values inside here. So for example, name equals Jim. Okay, and these are, when I say variable values, these are values within the table, okay? So don't misunderstand. We're creating a table and we're inserting these associative values within that table, okay? So name equals Jim. Classroom equals, what did I type there? A310. And subject equals science 30. Okay, now again, these two tables that we've created here are identical. We can access those values later according to those labels. So we can use dot notation or array notation, and we'll go through that in the next lesson. But suffice to say that we've created the exact same type of table here in this line as we did here in these lines. Okay, so it's a table called my table that contains three values: name equals Jim, classroom equals A310, subject equals science 30. So that's the gist of creating tables and adding